Hey, what's up guys? So after spending a few days with the iPhone XS Max, I can finally give you a definitive review comparing it to my iPhone X. I'm going to talk about everything that I love, all of the changes that you'll notice, and of course all of the ones that Apple has provided, but ones that necessarily I haven't felt in using it. So this is the iPhone XS Max reviewed. And some preface, I've always used the plus size phones, so I used the 6 Plus all the way up to the 7 Plus, then Apple released the 10 and they didn't really give us a choice with the size. Now it's nice that they do, and we have the XS and the XS Max for those that just need a little bit more display. Now, the first thing that I'd like to cover is the usability, the general build and size of the iPhone XS Max. It's no more uncomfortable than a Plus series phone would be, and after using it already for several days coming from an iPhone X, yes, it is a downgrade in total comfort. You do have to stretch a bit more with your fingers. Of course, it's a much larger display, so you do have to sacrifice that, but it's not totally unwieldy. Like, it's somewhat balanced. It's pretty light for the size. I actually really like that. And yes, I mean, one-handed operation suffers greatly here, but of course in exchange for that massive display. I certainly think that Apple could implement a lot of UI changes to make navigation easier. Accessing the control center is near impossible on the top right with one hand, so hopefully with future updates they do fix that. And next up is that beautiful gold finish. From when the iPhone 5S came out, I've always been a sucker for that gold color, and the iPhone XS Max does not disappoint. Just like in the promos, it is just as beautiful in person. A stainless steel finish is just a beautiful match, especially with the new Apple Watch in the same color. And of course, the main reason to go to the iPhone XS Max, that massive or maximum 6.5-inch display. All of your content appears larger here. In particular, video, photos, games, just so much better. I mean, I love larger displays, and Apple knows it. Every time they release a new phone with a larger display, they make the most money. Anyways, so video in particular, I noticed has the greatest benefits from that larger display. It's less cropped when you actually maximize it and the notch view. And over the last few days, a lot of the applications I use have been updated to support the XS Max display. And I was just like, wow, you can see so much more information once it's optimized properly. And I really like that. For example, here on Apollo, you get a few more threads available. And wow, I completely forgot how much I missed this. The landscape view for many of these stock applications. Now, what would have been nice is if Apple implemented horizontal Face ID so you can unlock and keep using those horizontal applications in that view. But in any case, it's still nice to have this back. Okay, now I'm gonna play the same song on both, and you'll see just how booming of a difference there is. And then this one. Whoa, that is way louder. It's not only that it's louder, it's that the quality is just so much deeper. You hear the music, you feel it now instead of this. And this was so good at the time. It's really hard for me to believe that Apple made it so much better. That's amazing. And throughout my testing of the camera, I've just been stunned at how much improvement there actually is. The pixel sizes are larger, about 32% larger than the iPhone X. And that directly translates to better low light performance. This is completely unedited video, the iPhone XS on the left, and you can just tell so much more detail. Now yes, there's still noise, there's always going to be noise, but you can make out so much more despite the fact that it's still a smartphone camera, it's still very similar lens size, but wow, I mean, the night and day difference here. The iPhone X was certainly not bad, the XS is not the best, but a huge improvement as is. And in my experience with the iPhone XS cameras, aside from all of the cool features and improvements Apple has touted at their event, I think the biggest change here has got to be the improvement to dynamic range. So when pointing the camera at a lit object and a slightly darker object, on the iPhone X, it'd mostly be either or. You can't have the best of both. But on the iPhone XS, you really do get so much detail in both areas. So take a look at the sky. You get a lot of detail, and below it at the forest, it is more well evenly lit, just more detail all throughout. And this is mostly because of the Apple A12 chip, the optimizations here. It's just superb and a huge huge visual difference. So comparing both in post-processing makes me realize how much of a difference there really is. So well done here, Apple. And next up, you'll be happy to learn that the iPhone XS Max does charge faster, but it's not for the reason you think. Apple actually upgraded the material of the coil, so it's now made of solid copper instead of a mixture of several different ones, and as a result, it'll charge to full 30 minutes faster over last year's iPhone X. And in my experience, Face ID, yes, is actually faster. And not only that, but it's more reliable. So most of the times when the iPhone X hesitated, the iPhone XS would just go right away and unlock the phone. And actually, believe it or not, I have noticed that there is a distinct difference in app load times. Now, this is mostly for like social media, Instagram, Snapchat in particular benefits greatly from the Apple A12. And I know it's kind of lame to have all this power and notice like a millisecond of difference in launching an application, but it's nice to have your apps load faster. Apple says officially 30% faster. You do also get some nice live wallpapers that replace the existing ones. Again, it would have been nice for Apple to leave those alongside these, but these are beautiful. And it's certainly nice to know that my iPhone XS Max is near bulletproof. Well, okay, not so much. In my tests, it wasn't very conclusive, but being the most durable glass ever and having a screen protector and a case really makes you feel safe dropping this thing. And the display on the iPhone XS has a greater dynamic range by 60%. That means a lot of your content will display better darks and lights, various colors altogether, and I have noticed it. It's quite stunning. DisplayMate calls it the best display ever. And by far, one of my favorite things about the iPhone XS is the water resistance. Apple says IP68, 2 meters at 30 minutes, but in my testing, I dropped it to 45 feet below the water, and the Galaxy Note 9 with it died, but the iPhone XS Max didn't. I simply do not have to care about having a case and taking it into the water ever again. And this is such a small change, not a lot of people know it even exists. The actual lens Apple uses is wider, so that means if you're taking a picture on both the 10 and XS from the same spot, you'll capture more in the picture with the iPhone XS. That is awesome. And taking pictures using the True Tone Flash has been improved thanks to slow sync, and I've noticed that yes, there is a distinct difference. There's more quality, just in general the picture looks better. And the front-facing True Depth camera has received an upgrade as well. It's now 2 times faster and capable of 60 frames per second video. So if you wanted that cinematic look where you can cut it in half just like this, you can easily do that now on the updated new FaceTime camera. And yes, Smart HDR is real and it does work wonders. Taking pictures on the iPhone XS is perfect almost every time, and I was able to get some fantastic photos. So yes, Apple has me sold on this new feature. And such a subtle difference, you wouldn't have even noticed it had you not had the 10 right next to the XS. It does take faster pictures, and it's ready to take another picture faster than the iPhone X. It's just a little bit, but there certainly is a difference. And Apple has improved the algorithms for portrait mode. Now, when taking pictures of people, I noticed that yes, it has improved, not for objects, and not always. Sometimes you'd have very jagged edges for no reason, but hopefully that will improve with software. And the depth of field changing feature is certainly very nice to have. In iOS 12.1, it'll be on the fly, but now you can do it post-processing in iOS 12. And a cool way Apple improves the low light capability is with an extended dynamic range feature that automatically switches to 24 frames per second to get more detail, quality out of low light shots. And of course, the star of the show, the Apple A12 processor. All of the features that we've been talking about wouldn't have been possible without this guy, well, at least not to the extent that Apple has shown us. It's not a very big difference from the Apple A11, but in terms of efficiency, raw power, launching speeds, it is very, very significant, and it's going to be future-proofed for years and years to come. And also the extra gigabyte of RAM is nice to have. It's the most any iPhone has ever had, and it helps keep an app or two extra loaded up in the background. I definitely have more storage than I possibly know what to do with thanks to Apple. It's an unnecessary option, but definitely nice to have, I guess. The dual SIM also, we don't get the physical dual SIM here in America, but an eSIM is a possibility, so the iPhone XS is theoretically even better for travel. And not that my carrier supports it, but gigabit LTE is available now, and it's certainly certainly a very nice feature to have in regards to future-proofness. Also, Wi-Fi is even faster. Thanks to that new antenna band design on the edges and the 4x4 MIMO antenna, you're going to get even faster Wi-Fi download speeds. All this is far from perfect though, as in the last few days I've been having numerous Wi-Fi and LTE connectivity issues, something that Apple will address in a future software update. And although this doesn't apply to me, T-Mobile users rejoice. The new T-Mobile Band 71 is supported by the iPhone XS and could potentially make it a night and day difference from your old iPhone, as it supports more rural areas. And battery life. Yes, it is a little bit better, but that's because I have the XS Max version. On the iPhone XS, it's officially half an hour better over the iPhone X. XS Max is an hour and a half, but I doubt you'll even notice that difference. And there it is, guys, my iPhone XS and XS Max review. So I chose the iPhone XS Max because it was the biggest difference from the iPhone X. Most people watching this will likely be coming from an older iPhone, and if you're on an iPhone 7 or below, it's gonna be such a huge upgrade for you. I mean, you've got the new Apple A12 processor, a massive display, the best display apparently ever made, wireless charging, fast charging, an incredible camera, especially for low light. So the iPhone XS is an awesome phone, but is it worth upgrading from an iPhone X? I say no. I mean, you pick this thing up, you can hardly tell the difference. It's really when you get technical, have them side by side, that you start noticing those little key differences, but it's not mandatory that you upgrade, and don't feel like you're missing out on anything major. So the iPhone XS Max, certainly an awesome phone to upgrade to, especially if you're coming from an older iPhone. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Hope I helped you make your decision. Peace.